Hey, good day everyone. So today we are going to discuss basic data structure in Flutter, or particularly actually with Dart. Okay. And the first in the list is we are going to have, by the way, the list. Okay. So list is a data structure that represents a collection of elements where each element has a unique index or position within our list. Okay. So now, uh, list is actually, uh, if you're familiar with arrays in other programming languages, so in Dart we have that as our list. Okay. So what I want you to take note here is this one. It is a collection of elements. So we have this what we call as elements. Then an element has a unique index. Okay, so we have an index or position within our list. Just like for example here. Okay, I'm going to have a list of numbers. So what I'm going to have, for example, here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so this one here represents a collection of integers. Okay, and when we say unique index, so therefore each of these are represented with an index, and the first element here is actually has an index of 0. Okay, so the index says 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so basically the list here with Dart or Flutter is actually the same with our array in Java. Okay, except that this one here has more methods and it is actually growable. Okay, it is dynamic when it comes to its size. Okay, so how are we going to declare a list in Dart? Okay, so first is we have here using our list constructor. Okay, so we have okay, so we have here now the keyword list, then the data type. Okay, so the data type list plus the keyword list, then the data type, then the name of the list is equal to list.empty. Okay, so this one here is going to initialize or declare a list numbers with an empty elements. Okay, and what I want you to take note here, if ever you are going to declare it this way, so this is not growable, so or this is not dynamic, so you cannot add an element on a list if ever you are going to declare it this way. So if ever that you want to declare a list with the empty keyword or method, so we are going to have the parameter growable must be true. Okay, so that we could add elements into an array programmable dynamically. Okay, or we have another one. And how are you going to declare a list? It's the easier one for me. So I'm here, same list, then the data type, then the name of the list is equal to an empty list, and you are going to use the square braces. Okay, so this one here declares an empty growable list. Or number 2, you could specify initial values. For example, we are going to declare here a list of fruits. Okay, so we have here list then of string. Okay, is equal to, so we have here an initial value of apple, banana, and orange. Okay, or the list.from constructor. So if ever we have an existing list and you want to add or you want to copy that list, so we could have, for example, here. Okay, so I have here an example. So list of type double, let us say temperatures, then list.from. That from with a parameter, as you can see here, this is actually another list. Okay? So therefore, temperatures then would contain this value here. Okay, so it could be a previously declared list, then you are going to include it in the from parameter. Okay, so these are the three ways on how are you going to initialize or declare a list: the constructor with an initial value or from another list. Okay, next is how are you going to extract an element from the list. Okay, the most common is we have by index. So given our list of numbers, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as the elements. So we have here numbers, then the element. Okay, so numbers 2. So this is the index, by the way. So if ever we're going to display numbers at index number 2, so we have here an output of 3. Why? Because 0, 1, and 2. Okay, so that's by index. Or we have here also the methods or the properties first and last. Okay, so numbers.first, meaning it is going to return the first element. Or numbers.last, it is going to return the last element. Okay, so those are on how are you going to extract an element from the list. Okay, and with other methods here. Okay, so add, it is going to add an element to the end of the list. For example, if ever we have an element or index, a list of numbers, okay, 1, 2, and 3, and you have numbers that add then 4, so it is going to add 4 at the end of the element. So therefore, after this command, this will become 4. Okay. Then we have add all. Adds all elements of an iterable or add from another list to end of the list. For example, we have 1, 2, 3 here. Then we have a list of 4, 5, 6. So when you say add all, so meaning this list will be added to our original list. So what will happen then after this command? It's going to have, we are going to have this one here. Okay, so add all, then we have to remove. So by its name alone, it is going to remove the first occurrence of a specified element. For example, we have here the command remove 2. So it is going to look for the first occurrence of number 2, not the index. Like, no, this is not the index, but it is the value of the element from the list. So therefore, after this command here, the first 2, take note, we have 2 occurrence of the number 2. So what will happen after this command? So number 2 or the second element here will be removed. Okay, so that's what remove, that's the effect of remove into our list. Okay, remove at, so here, if ever this one here is the value of the element, remove at, meaning remove at a specified index. So if ever I'm going to remove at index number 2, it is going to remove index number 2, 0, 1, 2. So number 3 will be removed. Okay, remove last. Okay, by its name alone, it is going to remove the last element. So what will happen then? By the way, remove and return. Okay, so in our example here, int last element, it is going to remove number 3, and that would then be the value of the variable last element. Okay, so take note of numbers.last. Numbers.last is going to return only the last element, but remove last, remove and return. Okay, so I hope you get the difference between the last and remove last. Index of returns the first index of a specified element in the list. So we have two occurrence of number 2 here. So numbers that index of. So returns the index of the first occurrence of 2. So 0, 1. So it is going to return 1. Okay, because the index of the first occurrence of number 2 here is we have the 1, index number 1. Contains. Checks if the list contains a specified element. Okay, so it is actually going to return a boolean, true or false. Okay, so if ever we have here numbers that contains 2, so it is going to return true. Why? Because we have here number 2. But if ever I'm going to have here number 6, does numbers contain 6? It is going to return false. Why? Because 6 is not present in our elements. Okay. Then length. Okay, so length returns the number of elements in our list. Okay, so we have here, so 1, 2, and 3. So we have how many elements do we have? So we have 1, 2, 3. So it is going to return 3. Why? Because we have 3 elements. If ever I'm going to have 3, 1, 2, 3, 3, so it is going to return 4. Why? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's for our length. Is empty. Returns true if the list is empty. Actually, it could be if ever that you're going to use the length, if it returns 0, same as with is empty. But is empty is going to return a boolean variable. No, boolean value, I mean, not variable, boolean value. Okay, in this example here, it is going to return true. Why? It is because we have an empty list. Is not empty returns true if the list is not empty. So this one here is not empty. It is going to return true. Okay, so these are just the basic methods of a list. There are still other methods that we are going to encounter as we are going to go along. Okay. So let us try having some examples for our list. Okay, so I have here a text field and a button. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, by the way, submit, let us say add to list. I'm going, oops, so I'm going to let the user to input here a name, then click add to list, then I'm just going to display it first here. So what we're going to do now is we are going to declare here a list of string, because we are going to let the user to display a name. Okay, so I'm going to have names list is equal to blank. Okay, so what I have here is a blank list. We have the keyword list of strings, then the name is names list is equal to blank. So when the user clicks on add to list, so we have here for the button, so we are going to names list that add. Okay, then the value is the one inputted by the user here. So how are we going to get the value inputted by the user? Through the text field. So we have here for the text field we have the controller. I declared it here. We have the controller. Okay, so we have controller that text. So I'm just going to print the names list. Okay, so we have when the user clicks on the button, it is going to add whatever is the value inputted by the user, then it is going to add to our names list, then consequently it is going to print. So we could see on the console whatever would be the content of the list after the add operation. Okay, so save and reload. So I'm going to input here a name. We have Pitok, then add to list. So as you can see here, we have Pitok. Okay, so I'm going to add another one. We have Kulas, add. So we have here now Pitok and Kulas. Then we have Yolanda, click. So we have here. So we have now 3 elements in our list. Okay, so we could play with the content then of our list. Okay, I'm just going to put it here. So using those different methods, so I'm going to print let us say the first element. First, let us say they are students. First student in the list. Okay, so I'm going to use names list that first. By the way, again, string interpolation. Oops. Okay, that's the first. Then I'm going also to print the last student. Then we have here the last. Okay, what else? Oops. Okay, so the first and the last, and okay, I'm going to use an index. Okay, let us say at index 0. The names list, then we need to have index 0. Okay, save, reload. Okay, so I'm going to have here Donald. Okay, add. So we have here the content of, we have here as only a single element. So that is why our first student, that first is we have see Donald. Then that last is we have Donald, and index 0 is still we have Donald. Okay, how about if ever I'm going to have Joe? Add to list. So you can see here the first student is we have Donald, then the last student is we have Joe, and at index 0 is we have Donald. Okay, so that's how are we going to play with the different methods of the list. Okay, so in your case, you are going to try each of these elements or each of these methods, okay, so that you could master on how are you going to manipulate our list, because in our next video we are going to display by using then a list view. Okay, using a list view here, we are going to display the content of our list. So as of now, we have only displayed here the content of the list, because the purpose actually of this video is for you to familiarize yourselves with the data structure list. Okay, so practice with yourselves using these different methods. Then let's go then to the next video by using a list view to display and manipulate our list. Okay, So that's all for this video, and I'll see you on the next one.